We need to have a neshama quality in ourselves. We're ready to play.
Okay, this will require another effort. But what if I just ask the question, why would binah not be if the chochmah was revealed?
And the explanation for that is that it has no function. I gave you the mashal of the nanny and the mother. When the mother is taking care of the baby, does it make any sense for you to come to the baby and explain, you know, there is a very, very capable person taking care of you? Hello?
No, I'm listening to you.
No, I know you're listening. I'm found the word at the head. Did you?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That's the answer.
Recording.
Okay. I think you finished the top section, right? The first section. So, at this point, the Rebbe says, explaining the phenomenon, chochmah and binah. How binah results from chochmah, comes from chochmah. Even though there is such an enormous gap between them, that in fact there is a gap. The chochmah and binah is like AYIN and yesh. AYIN and yesh are in two different worlds. Despite the fact that it's AYIN and yesh, this yesh comes from the AYIN. How is that? What's the explanation? What's the reasoning behind it? And because the AYIN conceals itself from the yesh, this is how the yesh recognizes itself. AYIN has the tendency to misalim. Excuse me. It lets the yesh out, and then it's misalim. And that gives the yesh an opportunity to develop itself. So we discussed the principle of AYIN yesterday. We were not finished, but just the principle in this that chochmah can be known even though it's misalim, even though it conceals itself. This is the phenomenon of chochmah. And I'm going to go to the next step. Taking the mashal of the mother versus the nanny.
Can you call the conference room? Can you call the conference room?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, apologize.
name followed by the pound key.
I'm a PALTIEL.
Thank you. Your last participant number 3.
All right, sorry. If chochmah is such a tremendous insight, why is it called AYIN? It is the greatest yes there is. And the explanation of this in this is that the presence of chochmah is such that it can completely negate itself and remain chochmah. Let me explain it from the mashal that we said. If you have to think it, this is a physical mashal, but a worldly mashal, it is a valid mashal. We have the nanny and we have the mother. The nanny does everything practically what the mother does, except there's a presence. She knows she's doing something, and the baby knows that somebody is taking care of her. It is not an ayin. It is not totally self-effacing. The nanny definitely appreciates if you say thank you. The mommy does not. She doesn't understand where you're coming from. The mommy's relationship to the baby is much deeper, much truer than the appreciation, than the presence. It's a fundamental thing. What in fact is it? This is what we spoke of yesterday. What in fact is it? What makes this relationship? The mother doesn't even know herself. It's something that is effectuated by the creator of the world, the spirit that creates them both. Chochmah is of such caliber. Chochmah is, you know, but you don't know how you know. The Rebbe said is showing it to you, essentially. This is the pshat that this is ayin. Ayin means it is there not by virtue of its presence, by virtue of doing anything. It is there by virtue of the fact that the creator of the world created the world with that spirit. We don't know why the Rebbe created the world. What was the godly motivation to create the world? We don't know, and as much as we will be laboring to understand, there's no way we can know it. Because it comes from a divine truth, from an ayin, something we don't understand the whole phenomenon. The Gemara describes it. Nishtekik. He had a desire. He longed to create the world. It's representative of Mebish's, whatever it is, truth, super truth. One expression is in Arizal, Teva hatev lahitiv. It is a nation of the good to bestow good. This is the ayin of the good of the Creator that permeates the whole creation, and this is what is reflected in the chochmah. Chochmah sees things due to their primary truth rather than due to their exposure or functional effect. That's why Chochmah is called AYIN. Binah is yesh. Binah is where you take this AYIN and you decipher it. You break it down into components. In breaking it down into components, the chochmah, the oyer, must conceal itself. Otherwise, there's no room for these components. If you were asked by someone, what's a table? What would be your answer?
Tell them to listen to a few classes.
But to say a table is 4 legs and a board will not come to your mind at all. If you really experience it, you would say, well, I know a table is something that stands in a dining room and accommodates human life in a dining room. Okay. Okay, so the last word, so to speak, of this top section was that the AYIN, which is the source of the yesh, is mis'alem. It conceals itself, thereby letting the yesh sense its presence independent of its source. And that's how it becomes a yesh. Now we go to the second section. In reflection, this still is not fully understandable. Since that, we know that Nakuda Zahaskola, the point of comprehension, of conceptualization, I should say, the point of conceptualization of chochmah. Everybody knows the difference between comprehension and conceptualization.
The difference between
comprehension and conceptualization. Comprehension is hasaga. Conceptualization is haskola. Conceptualization means the initial recognition of some thought. Comprehension is after the thought is developed and elaborated, and I understand it. But conceptualization is purely a nefesh effect. chochmah, ultimately, like Rebbe said before, at its lowest levels, after a full development of the AYIN, and chochmah begins to identify itself, it comes from the point of nekudas haskala, that it is conceptualized, its sense in a nekuda form. We explained that the nekudas haskala comes to a person after a long period of labor, of yigia. Yigia means that he senses something, and it's elusive. It evades him, but he wants to pursue it, and then he has a full concentration into this sense that he has, until a kind of a spark comes out, and it begins to make sense, and he knows what it is that he was trying to understand. This is called nekudas haskala. This nekuda, even though this is part of chochmah, this is so to speak, the lowest part, but still part of chochmah, because you only have a nekuda, you only have a point. You don't have any kind of grasp, anything to elaborate, anything to develop. Just a nekuda, a point. This point surfaces and becomes accessible, becomes known after a long period of yigia, of focusing and concentration and laboring, trying to get to this point. What is it that's so elusive? It's there, and yet it's not there. And it comes to him in the form of a complaint. I see. And it's typical that when this occurs, the expression is not I know, I understand, but I see. It's a typical explanation, even when people explain to each other. I see why I see. Because at this point I don't have the verbiage with which to explain, but I see the point. A point is something which is chochmah level. I see it. Do we have this point? There's much to say about this, but let's. So this nekudas haskala, at this point, where it is known, even it's only one point, but it is known at the knowable level, not as it is known to the nefesh. Not as it is true to the nefesh itself, but it's known, consciously known. This is what comes ultimately in hasoga aspect in binah. This is what binah ultimately comprehends. Once the nekuda is formed, is presented in the chochmah, so binah then goes into this nekuda and understands what's behind this nekuda. V'chol hasoga, the binah, hasoga habinah, the entire hasoga and comprehension, understanding of the binah, He b'nekudas ha'askol. It is actually the understanding consists in understanding what is contained in this nekudas ha'askol.
Well, so what happens here? Binah somehow receives this Nakuda Skala, and it then sees behind it, looks into it, develops it.
Once there is a Nakuda Skala, then one applies his quality of binah to break it open and to understand what it is that is contained in this nakuda.
And this nakuda originated from chochmah.
It's
an export from chochmah, but somehow received by binah. Binah relates to it.
It is, I know we call export, it's not an export, it's the revelation, the gili of chochmah.
Okay. And why would it be that binah actually gets it? Seemingly it would be part of its
because
getting, right?
Because at this point the chochmah is in a revealed and a tangible state. Although it is very minimal, nonetheless there is something tangible there.
And that happened not by means of reducing its own light, but by some other method.
By delving into this nakuda, when you have this, what did I reveal? What did I see? That's what binah is.
So we just said chochmah presents something that's almost tangible, I think.
Yeah, and nakuda is tangible.
How or why would chochmah show anything of tangibility?
Okay, good question. But actually, I said, the Nakudas Haskala of Chochmah comes after great labor. What does the labor have to do with it? What does the labor have to do with it?
And that's a labor within chochmah, yeah?
The conscious person's thought process is laboring to get to this chochmah. The Nakudas Haskala is a conscious knowledge. and when a person senses something, he goes in and he is misyageya to get to this something, to get to this nakuda.
Fine, so this yageya is from outside. Chochmah is not doing much.
Okay. How is nagiya, does this yageya bring about that it should be revealed in the form nakuda? Okay, listen to this. Chochmah is AYIN. As I said, it's an unintangible presence. AYIN. The physical world has no means to relate to AYIN. And likewise, human thought has no means to relate to AYIN. This is yesh. Has no means to get to AYIN. What happens then? Because of his tremendous desire to get to it, he labors. What is the process of laboring? Of yigiyah? The process of laboring is that he puts himself aside, his whole metzius aside, and he focuses in just entirely on this chochmah that he senses. This becomes his whole world. When this becomes his whole world, his whole metzius, his hashgashimati metzius, vanishes. He's totally not conscious of himself at all. No one ever got to Nekudas Haskola of Chochmah by saying, if I get to this point, I'll be able to show off what I know. With this approach, he'll never get there. He has to focus this is all he wants to know. Because that at this point, his whole yeshus, his whole metzius, is totally set aside. And he recognizes only the significance of this chochmah. Nothing else. This is why he becomes capable of receiving the chochmah. Even though he is in a state of metzius, he is a yesh, he is a conscious thought, but this conscious thought is so totally bottled to the chochmah that the conscious thought is able to receive this nekudas haskola. This is what Yigiyah does. So this is Nekudas HaAskola. This Nekudas HaAskola is really Chochmah itself on the lowest level, on the conscious level. But still, it's a spark of Chochmah. And binah at this point is able to access it because it's a conscious knowledge. It's known only in the form of a nekuda, but nonetheless it's consciously known. We're all very educated people. Everybody knows that a nekuda, a point, no matter how small the nekuda is, it occupies Mokiman's mind. It's a metzius in the world. As a matter of fact, a line consists of multi-points. A point cannot be without any space. Because of this fact that Mekoin has an element of space, binah has access to it. And at this point, binah goes into this nekudas haskola and delves into it and deciphers what is contained in this nekuda. Again, before we lose it, binah can only decipher it if binah, the bittul of binah. When he wants to get to the nekudas haskola, not that he wants to create his own world. He'll never get anything. This is a fallacy of the the world understanding. You understand the world, not seichel. Binah also has an element of bittul, and the bittul is I want to understand what's in this seichel, what's in the nekudas haskola. And the only way to do that is to focus in on the metzius element of the mokim zman of this nekuda. This is how binah can go into there and decipher what's in there. But he wants to decipher it because he wants to know what's in the Nekudas HaSkola, not because he wants something for himself. This is the bittul in binah itself. This is what Rebbe says. At the end of this subline, the whole hasoga de bina, the entire hasoga of bina, he be nekudas haskola. It is in this nekudas haskola. That is what it's for his focus on. To understand what is in this, what is contained in this nekudas haskola. He can sit there and decipher it for an hour, and then when he wakes up, he has nothing to show for it. There's no mitzias. But to him, this is a tremendous thing, because he was able to relate to Nekudas HaSkola of the chochmah. Chochmah is a tremendous significance, because chochmah is a spark from the neshama itself, from life and from reality, from the godly reality. And here is the end, the conclusion of this question. Ain't a moving, right? Since the Nekudas HaSoga de Bina is in this Nekudas HaSkola, ve'eich nikra ha-chochmah ayin legabe bina. How then can you call chochmah ayin? Towards, in other words, from the perspective of bina, bina has something to get into. If it's ayin, then bina wouldn't have any access to it. That's all that bina is focused on, is to understand and to decipher the Nekudas HaSkola. How can this be called ayin legabe bina? Legabe bina means from the perspective, from the viewpoint of bina. How can it be ayin? This is all the bina is, what bina has. True, it develops and so forth, but it's all based on this Nekudas HaSkola. If bina has access to it, it cannot be ayin. How do we then call it ayin? Okay? This is the question. No let up, huh? Okay. A great day. Have a good day.